Somebody who's told because I say so all the time doesn't actually know why they're being asked to do something.
True.
Right? They only know it's to please the parent, or they only know that if they do it, they avoid the anger.
Yeah.
Or if they make the choice, it's from a position of fear of the outcome instead of celebration of the outcome. So pick one and then talk about it. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm going to tell you the truth right now about why I need you to do this. They're going to still put up a little bit of a struggle because they're not used to it. But the more you do it, the more they're going to believe you, and then you can move on and add the next layer.
I'm Dr. Williams, and this is my podcast. I have 2 graduate degrees in psychology, am a licensed mental health counselor, and an expert in the area of spirituality. I am devoted to living my best life and am sharing it with all of you. I'm bringing my expertise, education, and life experiences to you through this podcast. Everyone deserves to enjoy life, and that is what I'm here to talk about. Depression, anxiety, grief, you name it, we all go through it at one time or another. I believe there's a better way to come at these things than mainstream mental health care offers, and I'm here to offer you my perspective and dig into discovering how you can feel good no matter what life throws at you. It is my intention to contribute goodness to this world, and the content herein is how I do that. But one disclaimer before we dive in. Should you decide to apply the information offered here, be prepared for improvements in your life. You may even live happily ever after, and you'll only have yourself to thank. This is Feel Good Now, the Dr. Williams podcast. Hey guys, I am so excited because today I'm here with Cara Tyrrell, and I have some really selfish reasons for doing this episode because Cara and I were talking and I was kind of telling her some things that I have going on with the boys in my personal life, and the advice she was giving me was so good. So I was like, we've got to do an episode on this and share it with my audience. So excited to have Cara here. Cara, thanks for being on the show. I'm so happy you're here. Can you kind of introduce yourself to everybody and let them know what you do?
Yes. Hello, everyone. So I am Cara Tyrrell. I live in Vermont, so I am in the middle of beautiful spring here. I'm an early childhood educator and a conscious parenting coach, and I created what I call the collaborative parenting methodology, where we blend the soul of being a human being with the science of early childhood and what our kids need to be their best selves right from the beginning. So that's who I am and what I do, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, we always have really good conversations, and it just always goes into a really helpful place and just a lot of genuine truth and helpful, just real life applicable kind of things. So I'm really looking forward to this. So I'm going to give everybody kind of a background of how we got into this conversation. I actually just recorded an episode as a follow-up because I had told my audience that I was doing those sleeping subliminals with the boys and going in there and kind of whispering positive expectations in their ears and kind of trying to help them with some challenges they were having in their waking life. And it's all been going really good. Their relationship really improved, and I was noticing a lot of positive changes. But then some things started coming up that I was like, well, okay, I know I promoted this, but this is kind of taking us into a not so healthy space. So what happened was I started telling the boys things like, you are a powerful creator. You are free. You are the boss of you, kind of stuff. And my older son really internalized this, and to the point where he started saying things like, well, you can't make me do this because I'm the boss of me. And so now I have this parenting challenge, right? Like, okay, he doesn't want to listen to me. And I would fall into that authoritative, like, well, you have to do this because I said so. I'm your mom. You got to respect me. And I just want to get your input on that. How do we find that balance between empowering our kids and letting them drive, right, their lives, trusting in their inner guidance and letting them thrive, but also having this family dynamic of, well, I'm still the parent and we have to have respect.
Absolutely. First, I just want to say that very often we try to tell our kids the things that you were telling them during conscious, challenging moments, right? We try to empower them when they're not able to receive it because they're in such a big emotional space already. And so the idea that you had to do it during the calmest, most available space that they're in is brilliant. So props for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
And yeah, so a couple things here. One is when someone's trying something on for the first time, especially children, they try it on over and over and over and over. That boundary line needs to be tested with a repetitive action. And as parents, that's really challenging for us because we say our answer to that one time and we want it to land and we want them just to believe us and to, okay, great, check, move on.
Moving on. Yeah.
And so when he's saying to you, but I'm my own person, and then saying it again, and then saying it in a different way, and then showing it to you over and over is when those triggers start to really get, I call them trigger traps, right? The first one's the trigger, but then as the adult, we get trapped inside it. And it's this circular motion kind of internally for us where we're churning. And of course, at some point, something's just going to snap.
Yeah.
We're going to say something we don't mean to. We're going to draw a line we didn't intend to, or we're going to give in.
Yeah.
And now we've done the one step forward to go 5 steps back because now we have to do it all over again that many more times.
Yes, this is what I don't want to do. I want to keep us on this path where we're moving in the right direction. And I know I am offering him good advice, but I just want him to know which direction to take it, more of a positive direction, right?
So you have older kids from the realm that I'm used to counseling in, right? I work with parents of toddlers and preschoolers, some kindergartners, but you have kids that are slightly older than that.
I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, 6 and 4. Okay, great. So your value system in your house is crystal clear.
Yeah.
The morals and the characteristics that you choose to display as the adult and your husband chooses to display as the adult are very clear. So when he's saying to you, well, I'm the boss of me, I get to be who I want to be, why not start a conversation?
Yeah.
Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who argues? Does that feel good to you?
Oh, I love that.
Do you want to be the person who always has to be right? Does that feel good? Or would you rather be someone who can hear somebody else's opinion? I know I would. Would you rather be someone who can have a conversation and make a decision together? Maybe it won't be the right answer, but we can try. We can try to problem solve together. If it doesn't work, we can come back together and make a new one.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you guys, did you hear that? Like, didn't that sound so good when just listening to her? Like, I felt the energy just align with the child. Like, all of a sudden, now you're not opposing and you're not defensive, but you're helping them to grow in that moment to know more about themselves while you're also learning about them. You guys are like a team in that moment.
Yeah, and that's collaborative parenting, right? There is a boundary line where, as the parent, first of all, if it's a safety issue, it's all you, right? The red card gets to come out. You are just fully in charge of that experience. And it doesn't have to be a physical safety issue. If it's I want to go to a friend's house, but fill in the blank, and you feel like that's a safety issue, those are your choices. But what we're doing in these early years is we're laying the foundation of that relationship. And you said earlier, I want them to respect me, right? And they want to be respected. And so overtly saying these things out loud, they tend to be implied expectations from our side as the adult. Well, I want my child to respect me. And even people who practice respectful parenting keep it kind of under the hood, right? They self-identify, but we don't say it out loud. Why not? I respect you enough to listen to what you're saying to me. I respect you enough to tolerate that you're using that tone with me. I really need you to respect me enough to hear what I need to say back.
Yeah.
And I will choose a tone that feels really good. And maybe we can make our tones match. That would feel even better.
Oh my gosh, Cara, this is awesome. So good. Oh my gosh. So let's say that somebody listening is the type of parent who is kind of the, I want you to do this because I said so kind of parent. Like, because a lot of times that's easier, right? You're tired. You're tired and they're like, why? And you're like, because I said so. Like, I just want you to do what I said. How do you start making the steps to turn this around into more of a collaborative kind of parenting and having that relationship with your kids when you're so used to doing it the other way?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And if you are in the pattern of, and your child is used to being the receiver of that authoritative voice, you're already in a power struggle, right? So the words have to change, and it's going to take some effort, and it's going to take a little time for them to believe you, to trust that you actually mean something different. Kids are brilliant, right? Their brains are coming up with possibilities for what could this be that's coming at me all the time. And so just like they are able to come up with 5 different sneaky ways to get what they want from 5 different people, right? I mean, how much cognitive planning does that take?
Yeah.
They are able, like, it's going to take them that many times and that much trust for when you say something different to be believed. So what I call the core 4 connectors in a collaborative relationship, and you have relationships like this in your life. So as I say these, think of somebody that you share all of these with. Mutual respect, implied honesty. You know what they're saying is true. Mutual trust. Can always believe what they say. And an open line of communication where you're never afraid to speak your truth. Those connectors are what you want to work on. So if you're just turning the corner to this journey, first of all, you'll probably need some help. Okay? This is not a quick, you might need some guidance, but pick one. Don't go for all 4. Just pick one.
Just one. Okay.
Yep. And if you pick honesty, because honestly, somebody who's told because I say so all the time doesn't actually know why they're being asked to do something.
True.
Right? They only know it's to please the parent, or they only know that if they do it, they avoid the anger.
Yeah.
Or if they make the choice, it's from a position of fear of the outcome instead of celebration of the outcome. So pick one and then talk about it. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm going to tell you the truth right now about why I need you to do this. They're going to still put up a little bit of a struggle because they're not used to it. But the more you do it, the more they're going to believe you, and then you can move on and add the next layer.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay. So you mentioned that pleasing the parent, and that triggered for me because I think a lot of generations are raised that way. You want to please your parent. You want your behavior to make them happy. And that goes against what I'm trying to instill in the boys, to take responsibility for other people's emotions. So is that something that you work with parents on? Is that something that you teach about? I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, absolutely. So people make decisions, right? And this is right up your alley. Our mindset is where it all starts. And if our mindset triggers a thought, then our thought triggers the action. And the feeling is associated with it. They're all jumbled up in there, which is why we're mind, body, spirit. So if the mindset that's being presented to children is because I said so, or a carrot is dangled in front of, if you do this, then we can do that, then they're already coming from a place of lack, right? They have to do it in order to
Achieve.
fill up. I'm glad you said that because it's not so much achievement in that moment, it's relief. It's relief that I didn't get in trouble. It's relief that I didn't hear somebody yell at me.
And that's what it's like when you're trying to please your parent, right? You're just trying to keep it good for yourself. Like if I can keep them happy, things are better for me.
But what do we want? We want our kids to feel that sense of achievement that you just brought up.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, we have to have something to celebrate at the end. And that comes from the proactive place instead of the reactive place. And people say to me all the time, moms particularly say, well, she listens to her dad. Well, she's not really listening to dad. She's choosing to do what dad asks because she knows what happens if she doesn't. So she's making that choice out of fear. She's not making that choice out of autonomy.
Isn't this so much fun to listen to this conversation? This could be you. Do you guys want to be on the show? If you do, go to drwilliamspodcast.com and go to my scheduling calendar and set up a free 30-minute pre-interview call. You have something to say. We all do. So if you want to be a guest on the show, set up the time so that we can talk about it and see if we can formulate an episode around what you have to share about your unique perspective on life. For now, we'll just get back to this interview.
Yes, that's it right there. That's what I want to change with my kids. I don't want to do that. And I think that it's easy to fall into that sometimes because who wouldn't want other people to be pleasing themselves, right? Like, yeah, that makes my life easier. If you're going to do what I want you to do, that's great for me. But it's not really the message. It's not the message that I want the kids to have because I want them to be empowered and I want them to know that their emotions are their responsibility and my emotions are my responsibility. So even if I'm upset, I will tell them, I'm upset right now. I have to go and I have to get better. So I'm going to go take some time to myself. And then I'm going to come back and we'll talk about this some more so that they see that I'm taking responsibility for that anger and not putting it on them, not blaming them.
That's right. That's right. It's yours. But you know what else is yours? The outcome. That natural consequence of your choice is also yours. So when we have positive emotions or observational emotions and take that step back like you do, then the outcome is that you emotionally regulate before you engage. The engagement is more positive. The modeling of the behavior that you would love to see for emotional regulation in your children is there, right? So we have positive consequences. People don't often think about consequences having the word positive in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has a consequence.
Right.
It's whether or not we choose path A or path B. So when you are supporting your child, when you're asking your child to advocate for themselves with their own emotions and their own words, they also have to own their own consequences.
That's true.
Whatever those are.
Yeah. Okay. So this is right up your alley with getting kids ready for school. So let's say that parents are doing this well. They are doing this well at home while their kids are at home. Now it's time for kids to go to school. And now they have other authority figures who are doing this at school because, teachers have a whole classroom full of kids. They want it to go easy. And so it's kind of a do what I say kind of thing. So what do you do there where there's a conflict between home life and school life?
I love this so much. We talked before about how brilliant children are.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of linguistics, it's called code switching. They code switch well. Just because they can't seem to put their shoes on at your house or it takes 12 minutes to do the job, doesn't mean that's how it is at school.
Oh my gosh, so true. Yes.
So the rules, the expectations are different. The location is different. Now, if your child is struggling with this, then that's the type of thing to talk about, to really piece out. Let me think of a great example. At home, I help you put on your snow pants before we play outside. At school, it's your job to do it all by yourself because that's what kindergartners do.
Yeah.
So really just make it crystal clear that the way of doing things at home and the way of doing things at school can be different. Now, I'll also say this, and I remember this from this big transition to kindergarten with my kids. I would always check in with the teacher. I knew what was happening there, and they knew what was happening at home. And my kids were blown away, and not in a happy way. They're like, no, that's my space over there. You're not supposed to be involved with that. That's how black and white the line was for them. And I said, oh, well, I have a relationship with your teacher, just the same way that I have a relationship with you. We're all in this together. Now we've extended our team.
Yeah. My older son at school, so he's kind of internalizing all these things he's learning at home, and he's in first grade now. And I get a message from his teacher, and she's like, so I asked Austin to do his work, and he sat there and he looked at it for a little bit, and then he came up to my desk and he said, my inner being says I don't have to listen to you. And then he went back to his desk. And she was like, I don't know what he meant by that, but I just told him, well, you should always listen to yourself if you feel like you're unsafe, but this is a safe environment and I think you need to listen to me, is what his teacher said. So that's kind of why I wanted to know what your take is on that, because he's obviously applying the things that I'm teaching him, and he's taking it to school, and he's doing it in kind of a defiant, like, I'm the boss of me kind of way at school. So I kind of talked to her a little bit. We had a meeting and everything, but how should I approach that with him to get him to, I don't want to say comply because I don't teach compliance, but to get along better with his teacher and make more cohesion at school?
Yeah. This is an interesting conversation because there's levels of development, right, that we're all ready for. And when you say, I am the boss of my own decisions, I am the boss of my own thoughts, I know that I can manifest a day that has a positive energy, even if I run into some type of difficulty. Your adult self is at the developmental level to understand that that's not a one size fits all thing, that there will be moments in the day that you have to use social norms, even if you're not really on the same page with that other person. Right? You know what the appropriate way to walk into a room is at a gala versus the appropriate way or the comfortable way that you can walk into your living room.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what's happening is he's internalizing this so much that he's saying, well, it must apply everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere must be a safe place for me to do this type of thinking and express myself this way. And so you will need to chat with him about that and say, what I'm telling you is 100% true, but it's a know when to use it and know where to use it type of thing. It can be in here all the time, but it can't always come out. So you're going to have to teach him to read the room, which as a first grader, that is a little tricky. So, some real broad strokes there and say, at home, I will always listen to everything that you have to say. As long as you tell me in a kind, respectful way, I will always listen to everything you have to say and we will solve it together. At school, you've really just got to listen to your teacher because there's not one of you. There's 20 of you. And she's got a big job to do. So show some compassion, practice some empathy, right? These values that you want him to have in the world, pull them out.
Wow. And I feel like that applies to so much. Like, I used a really specific example, but for people listening, like that could apply to really any kind of thing that's family based, like say religion, for example. Say that
Mhm.
before you guys eat at home, you all join hands and you pray. And when you're having lunch at school, you don't have that happen in the lunchroom where everybody joins hands and pray. Like, it really is a distinct difference. And it's because of your environment and how you behave differently in different environments.
Or with different people. I know that when my girls were little, we always had lots of conversations about grandma and grandpa versus nana and papa, right? And my girls would say things to me like, "Well, why can't I fill in the blank with either of them?" And I said, "Well, they are different people than I am." Right? They talk to you differently. They play with you differently. You have a different relationship with them than you do with me. And for me, it's all about relationship. Right? We're in relationship with everybody around us. It's just the quality and the depth of that relationship. So with you, he has the deepest relationship. So you guys can go deep on these things.
Mm-hmm.
But with people who have a more surface level relationship in his life, like a teacher or a coach, it's just going to have to be the way it is. And he can't expect them. Now, her response blows me away, to be perfectly honest. What an amazing human being she must be.
Yeah.
But he can't expect the same reactions or the same words to come out of their mouth that would come out of your mouth.
Yeah. You know what I love so much about that is relationships is one of those things you don't learn how to do. You learn how to do it just by doing it. Nobody teaches you how to do it. But what you're saying is these are the kind of conversations that you're having with your kids where you're giving them the fundamentals about how to build different relationships in different environments with different people. And that is invaluable. You don't find that with anyone else. That's our role as a parent, to really promote those kind of things that they're not getting from anyone else.
And that's why I say that I teach parents how to be their child's first teacher. And they always say to me, "Oh, you teach homeschooling?" No, I don't, actually. I teach this relationship building, this foundational ability for your child to then go out into a school, whether it's preschool or kindergarten, first grade, and be their best self, be in tune with that, but also engage interpersonally and also understand how to be social and emotional with others. And it starts with the way they are with you.
Yeah. Wow. Are you working with people on an individual level? Like, what if people want to find you and work with you? Where can they find you at? And what kind of programs do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am everywhere on social at Core 4 Parenting, the number 4 in the middle, like those Core 4 connectors. I do take on one-on-one clients, but I have very limited slots. And I prefer to bring people into my group program. One-on-one is great if you have some real significant stuff that you just want to do privately. But I have a beautiful group program called Transforming the Toddler Years for moms and dads of 1 to 4-year-olds. And we walk through 6 modules. 3 are soul, 3 are science, and you finish with a personalized parenting toolkit of strategies that work for who you are, who your child is, and the home environment that you are building. I am currently teaching a cohort. I open up again in the fall for another cohort. So be sure to come over to the website and check it out.
Well, you guys go and follow Cara on social so that you know when things are coming and you can get involved with her. I mean, I can't even tell you, like, I just feel like the knowledge base that you have is so strong and you can feel that you really care. It all comes through. And I can't think of any parent who couldn't benefit from working with you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about my own situation and to share it with my audience. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, it has been a true pleasure. I love this so, so much. And If people just want to try me out a little bit more and see if they really align with it, hop over to the podcast and you can just listen on a weekly basis too, because giving is where we make the most impact.
That's right. And that's Transforming the Toddler Years. You guys go and check it out and listen. That concludes this episode, but if you don't want to wait for the next episode to come out, I have more for you at drwilliamspodcast.com. You can learn more about me and my journey to podcasting, find all the ways to connect with me on social media, and there's a button to subscribe so you're the first to know what's new and upcoming. You also can shoot me an email at hello@drwilliamspodcast.com. You are so special to me, and your support does not go unnoticed. I want to support you too. This podcast is my outlet for growth, because when you teach something, you hold yourself accountable and apply the information in life. But the inspiration for these episodes comes in a variety of ways, and one of those is through you. I want you to feel like this is your show too. So send me a message and let me know which episode is your favorite and why. And tell me if there's a topic you'd want to hear me talk about. Your feedback applies to so many people, and your suggestion could change someone's life for the better. The best way to do this is by subscribing to the show and leaving a review through your favorite podcast platform. I really listen to you guys, and this dialogue feeds my soul. You say that you're a fan of me, but truth be told, I am a fan of yours. Everything is working out for each of us, and we're all in this together.